Welcome to the Coach Bruich Show. We're here with Coach Bruich on the cusp of a great win over Redlands High School. Last Friday night, exciting game. The atmosphere of about 9,000 screaming fans, two teams, somewhat of a civil war over these last few years, and fighting for the smudge pot. Coach came out with a 21-13 victory in overtime. Tell us your thoughts, first of all, about the emotion of the game.
The emotion was great, but it was more emotional from stands to stands than it was actually on the field. I mean, there was a lot of emotion, but there was just two teams playing hard. Basically, that's what it was.
Did you see any highs at the beginning of the game, sort of over emotional, or did they just come out and bang right off the bat without really feeling those jitters?
No, we were fine. I mean, we were definitely fine. If you talk about the game, I really feel like we dominated the game. If you look at the stats, the stat lines, we really dominated the game. Now the score is a whole different story. That's why you play the game. But I think that when it's all said and done, you go back and watch the film. We're definitely a much better football team.
Tell us about your back position. Okay, you have Taylor coming back in the lineup. You have Darius coming back in the lineup. How did you like the performance?
Well, let's see. Taylor rushed for 121 on 17 or 18. And Darius rushed for 119 on 20 or 22. So we got 200 yards plus out of our two backs. We haven't had that in the first 6 games. We've had a performance here or there from Jesse, but the ability for these kids to not only just run the ball well, but to break tackles, to get extra yards, it made our whole offense go. We could run at the tempo that we finally have set forth at the beginning of the year to do. We were so comfortable. It was just awesome. It was an awesome feeling.
Yeah, and Taylor must be back to full strength, because I saw the touchdown that he ran, and those last 3 yards were all him, all his legs.
Yeah, I don't know if he's full strength, probably 80%, but I mean, it is what it is. He's been out 6 weeks. It's go time. So whether he's full strength or not doesn't really matter. It's a matter of him getting it done.
Okay, how about your passing game? Were you pleased with what happened in the passing game?
Yes, 15 of 27, 162 yards. Probably 3 to 4 drops, that could have put us at the 19 to 20 of 27 mark. Pretty huge, pretty huge. You really want to talk about the offense. Austin DeCoute was like Magic Johnson, back in the old Laker days. I mean, he was throwing it, he was running option, he was keeping it, he was reading, he was doing all kinds of things in order to make the offense go. To me, he was the key. The backs were great, but he was the key to making the smart decisions to keep the offense flowing. 425 yards of total offense against Redlands High School. Their defense, they're known for their defense. And to put 425 on them, we've never done that before.
Okay, and like you said, it really does seem like the offense was on all cylinders this game, where they were firing and they were just playing really as a team.
Yes.
Is it the first time you've seen that in a couple
of
weeks?
Oh, definitely. In a couple weeks, in the whole year. Definitely the first time I've seen the offense come out and play like they're supposed to play. We didn't play great in every position, but because of our backs and quarterback, they kind of carried us through it.
Okay, now, before we go to the defensive end, penalties. It seemed like the game was marred with penalty after penalty. How do you keep your boys focused in a barrage of yellow flags?
You don't. I mean, well, basically what we did is we just got right back on the ball and just kept going. I didn't want to give our guys time to think about what had just happened. Instead, I wanted to just keep playing. And it wasn't just penalties. I mean, there were penalties both ways.
Exactly.
It's kind of sad when you know that these are two well-coached teams. I mean, there's a lot of mistakes being made, but hey, I mean, it is what it is. Sometimes refs call the game a little tighter than others.
And I guess that's what you said, and that's why you play the game. Defense. Defense came through big in a couple of clutch moments. How do you feel overall for your defense?
I think the defense played well. I think we were uncomfortable at times because they ran right at us, and people haven't tried to run right at us in a while, and they try to overload formations and stuff to get us. I think that the Redlands coaches did a good job at game planning for our defense. However, 8 first downs is all they got. They only got 8 first downs. They had the one long run, Other than that, they score on a punt return, bobble, catch. Everybody missed the guy and go. And then they had a field goal opportunity off of they kicked off to us and we didn't field the ball. So, and then they missed their field goal. So other than that, I mean, they didn't really get much. You know, I mean, they had 48 plays of offense to our 87. You know, I mean, we held them in check pretty much.
Okay. So the big win, 5 years in a row for the Smudge Pot. Is that a big deal to you? I mean, it's the inner city rival. The boys grow up together. They play. When Rev first came about, they were winning them all the time. Now the last 5 years, the program's become solid. You just won your 5th. What does it mean to you? Much, or is it just sort of a nice thing to have?
It's a nice thing to have. It's better to have it than to not have it.
Yeah.
But the reality is we beat one of the better teams in our league, like I said last week. This puts us in prime position. We've now beat Miller and Redlands. Miller and Redlands were in the top 3 last year, you know. So basically, you know, I feel like we're in the driver's seat a little bit. You know, I mean, we got to win out, but I feel like we're in the driver's seat.
Okay, which leads us right into Eisenhower. We come up against Eisenhower this week. They don't have a great record, but at the same time, once again, that's why you play the game. What do you foresee this coming week?
Well, Eisenhower scares me. They scare me. Their athleticism scares me. This is Pat Lord's 3rd year in the program, and they're starting to evolve. They're starting to evolve into a better football team. If you look at their games last 2 weeks, they should have beat Ukaipa. Ukaipa scored with 10 seconds left to beat them. They should have beat Miller. You know, they threw like two picks for touchdowns late in the game. So they scare me. They have some things going on. They have a receiver named Marvell. What is his name? Anyways, they have a receiver who is phenomenal. At number 1, you'll see him on the game. He's about 6'3". They throw the ball up to him. He just goes and gets it. You know, he's pretty amazing.
Okay, so getting ready for Eisenhower once again. CBL game. Important to win so that we can control that driver's seat, as you say. Any significant injuries this week? I know we saw Taylor come back last week. We see Darius come back last week. Anybody out for the game coming up?
Not that I'm aware of. Not that I'm aware of as far as on the varsity starting crew. We're pretty much 100% for maybe the first time all season. And when I say 100%, we're dinged. We're dinged, but everybody's gonna give it a go. You know, everybody's gonna give it a go. We're gonna try to run this thing through.
Okay. Offensively, you come off a great offensive game. Expect much of the same? Pounding the backs and having Austin control the offense?
That's kind of where we're heading. I mean, that's kind of our offensive identity that we're finally being able to show. You know, is the quarterback again, like being the point guard and doing what he does best, making headstrong decisions, putting the ball where it needs to be, whether it's run, pass, option, whatever, and letting our athletes make plays.
The bending of the offense together, do you feel that it's been because of the injuries, people in, people out, not really knowing, and now we're finally all together, or do you think it just took a little bit of time for them to sync up?
I think you need 2 backs to run the offense I wanted to run. We've been piecing it together week by week, Jesse here, CJ there, but we never had 2 backs, and we couldn't pace ourselves like we wanted to. If you saw the game Friday, we didn't give them much time to get ready, to get the defensive calls in. We were off and running.
Okay. One last question. So, if your offense is just syncing up in the Redlands game, we look back a couple games ago, Mission Viejo, and then before that, Chino Hills, and so on and so forth. If our offense wasn't synced in and it's just starting to come into its own, how good could this offensive unit be? I mean, you have some superb athletes. How good could they actually become?
It's pretty scary, isn't it?
It really
is.
is.
Scary. We'll find out. But we're excited to find out. We're very excited to figure out where we can end up.
Okay. Well, good luck on your upcoming game.
Thank you very much.
We'll talk again next week.
We're at Eisenhower High School, by the way. Eisenhower High School, 7 o'clock Friday night.
All right, join us at Eisenhower. Check us out on Rev Football on Facebook and RevFootball.com on the internet. And go Wildcats.